How's it going, everyone? This is That in the City Outdoors. We're going to be making a pork shoulder roast today on the Weber kettle. I'm actually going to be doing something that I haven't done before. I'm using a smoke tube that I haven't used in a while. I'm going to fill it up with some pellets. It's a competition style blend of pellets that I bought from my local hardware store here. And at the same time, see what kind of flavors I get. What I'm going to be using is this right here. Okay, it's already seasoned. This is only about 2.68 pounds, so this is also not a big piece of meat. I'm hoping I should be able to do it in about 5 hours or less. Okay, so I'm definitely going to try to start the fire as close to the center as possible so it can even out as it burns. So you notice it's already going. What I'm going to be using is my Sorokin thermometer. You know, I had a problem the last time I was using this thermometer where it was not connecting to my phone, but guess what? Contacted Sorokin and they were really great. They said, no problem, what's going on with it? Try doing this. I said, I've already done the steps that they sent me for troubleshooting, and without any other questions, they said, once on the mail, you should be getting it soon. So again, shout out to Sorokin. I really like their device. It holds 6 probes. And the temp is pretty accurate in my opinion. I've compared it to my ThermoPro that I have and my ThermoPro pin. I'm not an expert in any means, but it does work. Okay, so this fire is going. I'm gonna turn on my thermometer just so I can kind of see what's going on. I'm gonna put the lid back on here. And I'm going to start off with all vents wide open so we can get that fire going. Once the fire is set, I'll start bringing it down to where I want it. Again, one thing I do like about this Weber kettle is that once I dial it in, it tends to keep its temperature and hold temperature pretty well. So I'm going to leave you with some footage of the thermometer doing this thing and getting the temperature going so we can see how long it takes to come up to temp on here. I'm going to shoot for around 250, a little higher than smoke, right on the edge of smoking, because again, I do want to finish this by around 5:30 this. So pairing up with this meat, I'm gonna make salsa. I will film that and add the couple clips here and there of how I've done it. I've done that before. It's gonna be a salsa verde. I'm gonna be using some tomatillos, some garlic, some onions, and some jalapenos, salt and pepper and all that. Okay, so we're gonna make some salsa verde. I normally like doing the salsa verde all in the kettle because it gets that nice char, but we're actually gonna be using the cast iron skillet today, just so that we can get everything in here. I'm using a ton of jalapenos. I like jalapenos. I'm using a very large onion, and then I'm probably gonna use anywhere between 5 to maybe 8 tomatillos. It's also gonna have some cilantro, 1 red Roma tomato, whichever type of red tomato you can find works perfectly fine. And at the same time, we're gonna also put in some garlic, salt, pepper. Salt and pepper we'll use later more for the taste. If you have a lime or lemon, lime is probably preferable. You can squeeze one of those in there as well, just so you can give it some acidity, and then to top it off, a little bit of distilled white vinegar. So come along, we're gonna make sure that we can get this all going. Alright, so for those of you that don't know what a tomatillo might look like, this is it right here. They actually have a husk wrapped around the fruit that you're actually going to eat. And all you do is you start peeling it first. Do this before washing it. It makes it a little bit easier. Once you get to the end, just go ahead and tear that off. And you can hear the jalapenos and the onions kind of cooking up. I did put a little bit of olive oil on that pan just to cook them up and get that nice char since we're not doing them out on the grill. This is what you get. That husk, discard. You don't want to cook that up or eat it. I don't think it would be tasty at all. But again, I'm going to do roughly about 8 or so. 5 to 8, depending on the size. This one's a large one. I like using them a little bit smaller than this, no larger than this, just because I think the flavor is a little bit different. But you don't want to cook these up too long because the flavor does change. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and stir these jalapenos and onion up. And I am doing everything all in that one skillet. I do want it to get charred. One thing I was looking at and realized is I don't have any garlic really, so I am going to use the powder. It doesn't taste the same. The sweetness of that garlic when it's fresher than powder, it's so much better. So as you can tell, the jalapenos are charring up. They're starting to blister on here, which is a good sign. Alright, while those continue to cook up, I'm going to finish peeling a couple more of these tomatillos, and then we're going to throw them in there. Okay, so my GoPro memory got full. I can't find my other memory. What I did is I am just making sure that I get enough color on here. They're cooking up pretty good. I'm gonna let these go a couple more minutes. I did find a couple of these green onions that I'm gonna throw in there as well, so that I like the flavor of them, so that's why I'm actually throwing them in there. But the nice thing with this green sauce is you can throw a lot of ingredients in here and maintain that the aromas are very strong. Okay, so if you are doing this indoor, open up a window, make sure that you can withstand it. I mean, I love hot, spicy stuff, but it even gets to me. It really comes down to your jalapenos, how hot they are internally, because I also don't vein them. I don't take the seeds out. I feel that all that gives a good flavor. So if you want to avoid some of that, maybe just devein the jalapenos. But this is where you're looking. I mean, if you can get these charred more, kind of like those onions, that would be even better. Just because again the flavor comes out completely different. Every time I make this salsa, I always find new flavors on there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw in some of these jalapenos in there back again, so they can kind of char up with the tomatillos. And once those tomatillos are ready, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add actually hot water on here. I'm gonna start boiling a little bit more water right now. Or I'm going to start boiling some water, because what that'll do is it'll finish cooking them up, and once that's done, we can go ahead and start blending this salsa up, and this should be quick. Salsa doesn't take a long time. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dump all this back in the skillet. Get all those good juices out of there. Okay, you want to make sure you get all that, as much of that as possible in there. But the one thing I didn't have that I'm missing is my garlic. Fresh garlic also makes a big difference with this salsa. When you don't put it in there, you can taste it. So when I cut up these tomatillos, all I'm going to do is just cut them up in halves. If they're small, the bigger one, I might cut into fourths. And what you're looking for is that as you're cutting the tomatillo, it's almost as soft as a regular tomato. Not that soft. Okay, just enough where that knife cuts right through. And this is what you're looking for. Okay, they're nice, soft in there. Cut most of them just in half. We're going to go ahead and put them in the skillet again. And all we're doing now is just kind of reheating everything in here, incorporating it back up. And we're going to let it come to a boil with that water. And when you blend this up, depending on how thick you want the salsa to be or how runny, is how much water you will incorporate into the blender as you're doing it. I like my green salsa a little bit thick, not too much, but I don't want it to be runny. So be careful as you're adding water. You don't want to add water too fast and have it boil out. Just add it in slowly. Turn this off, and I'm going to start putting everything into the blender here, and then just blend it all up. Okay, so I'm not going to add any salt or pepper or anything on here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pulse this a little bit so that it can start blending all together. That's all I want to do. It's really hot. This is roughly the consistency that I'm looking for at the moment before I add the rest of the water. I am going to add the rest of the water that was in there. I'm going to put in my cilantro. I'm just going to add the whole thing of cilantro in there. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. I already have some mix in here. Be a little generous at the beginning. And then make those adjustments. And all I'm going to do is from my distilled vinegar, I'm just going to add a splash to begin with. That's all I'm going to do. Don't want to run it too much. I don't want this to get completely just watery. I'm going to go ahead and taste this. Look at the consistency. There should be a couple chunks of that cilantro because I didn't mince it all. I just threw it all in there. Stir it up a little bit. So as you can see, there's still chunks of that cilantro in there. And that's fine. I don't care because this is kind of like a rustic style salsa that I'm doing. I'll go ahead and taste it to see how it is. Has good flavor. Good spice. It's not overpowering in my opinion. It does need more salt. Like I said before, make sure you are generous with that salt and pepper. I might not add any more of this mixture because if it needs salt, that's all I'm going to do is just add the salt. Go ahead and mix it in again. You can go ahead and pulse it a little bit if you want, but I just find that if I mix it, that should be enough before I start doing any more blending in there. Let's give it another taste. Much better, but it does need a little bit of salt. And this is now where I'm going to incorporate that lime juice. The mixture of salt that I had in there was some pink Himalayan salt. I have a big bag, but all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and grind a little bit of this in here because I don't want to overpower it now. This is where you start making those adjustments to taste. And I'm not adding too much of that distilled vinegar because again that lemon juice is going to have some of that acidity. Okay, needs a little bit more salt, but we're getting close. So I'm not going to add too much of that distilled vinegar because we are going to add those limes and that's going to add some of that acidity. If you have one of these lime presses, lemon presses, use it. It's really handy. I'm going to start off with one half first, mix it and give it a taste. Like I said, I cut two up thinking I might need the whole two. But you can always just take it, you know, one at a time. Definitely needs the whole lime in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and squeeze that other half. I don't think we'll need any more of the distilled vinegar. I think that flavor is pretty good already in there. Go ahead and grind a little bit more of this pink Himalayan salt. Mix it all in again. Give it a taste. Oh, those flavors are definitely marrying a lot better now. Again, still needs a little bit more salt. And again, I try to do it this way just because I don't want to overpower it with salt. I'm not big on salt or using salt in my recipes or in any of my rubs that I do. Not gonna taste it anymore. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and post this so that we can get the rest of that cilantro blended in. I'm gonna let this run for maybe 30 seconds on high speed. Okay, maybe it was less than 30 seconds. Again, I don't want this to be completely watery. This is perfect. Fresh, homemade salsa verde. It's delicious. Again, and then you adjust the flavors to your liking. Okay, so if you can smell the aroma out here, we're done with that green salsa, but as soon as I came out here, oh man, I just got hit with that awesome smell. My temperature has been stable at around 288 to 290, so it's a little bit on the higher end of where I wanted it, but again, it's creeping in there. And the vents are doing a good job at staying at that temperature. My temperature got up to 291, but it never got higher than 291. It would go up to 291, then it would come back down. So again, I'll make those little adjustments on here. I'll try to keep the lid as close to where it is as possible. But let's check this out. Okay, so here's my lid. I'm just gonna tap it just a little bit so it can close. Going really good. Go ahead and spray it. This is just water, nothing else. My smoker over there, it's still smoking, not as much right now, so I might just turn this, put this right over the coals to see if maybe they'll get a little bit more heat. But this is the one that I was talking about. I can feel it. It is hot. They are burning. It's just not the same. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and close this back up. So my lid should be roughly where I left it earlier. That temp should be coming back up, and it should settle, I'm assuming, anywhere between 286 maybe, just with the little adjustment I did on top. Come on over. The color on here is awesome. So it has that right color that I want already. I'll go ahead and probe it. We're gonna see what so as you heard, my alarm started going off. The nice thing about this working, that internal alarm is awesome. I wanted to get to at least 140, maybe a little bit higher before I start wrapping it. So I just added about 17 briquettes on here, and I'm gonna let this kind of come back up to temp. What I am gonna do is I am gonna actually wrap this now. I'm gonna put in some orange juice with a little bit of water dilution, the one that I was using to spray, and then just let us finish cooking up in here. I don't want this completely to be shreddable, so I'm looking for an internal temp at around 185. So we're almost there. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to actually put this shoulder with the fat cap up now, so some of that fat can render down into the meat. Look at this. So fat side down, good grill marks on there. Color is on point. It's really good. So I think it's ready for us to start wrapping. The smell from that rub though, it's very good, or that marinade is really good. Again, we're shooting for that internal temp of about 185, maybe 190. What I am going to do is I am going to actually increase now my temperature on there. I feel it has enough smoke around there. We're going to raise this up to about 325 maybe. Alright everyone, so this pork shoulder is completely done. It's reached a temperature of 196. It's right around where I want it to be for all this cook. And we finished on time. It's actually 5:09 right now. This is done. I'm gonna pull it out so we can see how it looks. It feels real tender already. We're gonna go ahead and remove it off top. I'm gonna use the same foil to just wrap it back up. It's steaming, so be careful. Ooh. If you can just smell how awesome that smells, it would be ridiculous. That marinade smells so good. That adobo marinade. So definitely liking it so far on just how well they did this marinade for this pork shoulder. Alright everyone, so I'm inside the house. My line's a little bit off here. It's not quite the same, but meal is done. Made some Spanish rice or Mexican rice there. We're gonna go ahead and start cutting this pork shoulder. So I didn't want this to shred. The temperature got to 195. I've let it sit here and rest, so I'm hoping that it didn't continue to get up to that 200 mark or higher. And I hope I can slice this up. Still feels nice and warm. There's a lot of juices in there. I'm just gonna throw this into the rice. It smells delicious. It's firm. It's kept that consistency that I wanted. So we're gonna go ahead and slice this. It's very juicy. It's slicing really good. Oh, it has that beautiful smoke ring right around. So has that nice pink smoke right around there. It's not too heavy. The slice is pretty thin. I might actually use my carving knife for this so that I can get pretty good slices. My butcher's knife is doing the job. It's not the greatest, so give me 1 second. Okay, so I had to go get my carving knife. This should come out a lot better. Oh, big difference. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be able to slice this up into little steaks. It's juicy. It's right at that feel where if I push too hard, it might actually shred. So I'm trying to be as careful as possible so I can retain as much of the structure as it can. Ooh, here's a freebie. Man, that marinade is good. So let me bring you around so you can see how this looks. This turned out very delicious. It has a smoke ring just like I wanted. I hope you guys can see that. It's still juicy. We made our Salsa Verde. This is that sauce, that orange juice with a little bit of water and then the drippings. Rendered it down as much as we could, and there's still about a little bit less than a cup. It's probably about three quarters of a cup. And then our Mexican rice has some cilantro. This is a Mexican brown rice with lime and cilantro, and it's all ready to go. So we have some beans cooking. Hope you guys enjoyed this. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Meal's all ready to go. We're gonna sit down and eat. As always, this is Dad in the City Outdoors telling you enjoy the outdoors no matter what the conditions. Have a great day.